the text message that Shannon busted out from Alexis from 2018, breathtaking. And they didn't let you really see the whole thing, but I ended up piecing it together. And let me read the text again, because what was that, Alexis, about how you had nothing to do with this lawsuit? Shannon, everything you and Tamra have said in the media since the divorce are lies. We have engaged an attorney and will be suing you and Tamra for slander and defamation. Your insensitive and false allegations come at a very difficult time for our family. When you divorced, Jim and I left you alone and never said a negative thing in the media regarding you two. Just know that anything that you or Tamra say from here on out will be included in the lawsuit. You will be hearing from our attorney tomorrow. Alexis, girl, repeat that again about how you had nothing to do with it when there's this text message. That was a stunning receipt. But I need to know why Tamra has, to this day, I believe, maintained that Alexis had nothing to do with the lawsuit. Because on the show, they show Shannon texting Tamra. It came from her phone. This is the text. And Tamra going, oh, yeah, I forgot she didn't have my number. She had your number. Why have you been saying that Shannon knows Alexis wasn't involved in that lawsuit then? Why have you been continuing to say that Alexis wasn't involved in that lawsuit when she very much was? Why are they in the cahootsies like that? Huh? All right. Well, it was juicy on OC and it was juicy on Salt Lake City. You know where it's not been juicy? RHONY. Okay. Why have Rebecca Minkoff on this show if she's not going to talk about Scientology? I would assume over the years, people have offered for her to do a reality show, or maybe not, actually, I don't know. But I would assume she thought, I can't do a reality show because I can't talk about Scientology or anything. So when she signed up, I thought, there's no way they'd have her on here if she's not wanting to talk about it. She's tell them no comment, or tell them read a book if they're curious. Go on the website. I don't think you want people Googling Scientology, lady. So I'm a little grossed out that they even let her through. Like, why have her on the show if she's not going to talk about the most interesting part of her just to promote? And Jenna's doing the same thing still. She's kind of like not wanting to get involved and trying to stay cool and whatever. I'm just like, okay, I can't watch more of this. It's not really fair. But anyway, so we will not be talking about RHONY today because I don't have anything to say other than that. But we will be talking about Salt Lake City and OC, and I'm going to start with Salt Lake City right after the intro. But before I do that, if you're new to the show, hello, I'm Emily. I recap your favorite reality TV shows, and I go live on YouTube every Sunday at 10 a.m. PT to wrap up the week's entertainment news and chat with my fellow messes. So subscribe, follow, like, comment, and let's chat. All right, so the girls are in Milwaukee, and I love the Laverne and Shirley opening credits thing. Love it. It was funny to see them in the beer factory. And Wayne's World is a movie I've watched so many times. So anything that kind of reminds me of Wayne's World, loving it. But the first big story in this one is Meredith goes to Lisa's room while her glam team is getting her glam for the day and says, Whitney and Angie came up to me at the game talking about you. Well, yeah, they sure did. They flash us back to the game and Whitney going, yeah, she had her feelings about you, and Angie stepping in. Yeah, she said you fucked half of New York. She said she had her feelings about you and your marriage. Knowing what she said about your family, you feel like you can trust her 100%? What are you people doing? This is an act of war when you do shit like this. Going up to Meredith, who's making up with Lisa, to say, I don't know, should you be friends with Lisa? And then bringing up things. Angie, you weren't even here for the hot mic moment. You weren't even there yet. I hate saying this, I do, but it's really feeling like Whitney and Angie wanted to go for Lisa and like do a Lisa takedown type of thing. Because you know what? Put a pin in that. I'm going to get more into the Angie stuff when we get later into the episode when it comes up. Because Angie's really confusing me here. You don't go up to the friend and do that. And then you're like, what? Why are you upset? What? If I told a friend something and then they went and told that very same friend that I was talking about what I said, I would be like, what? That's one thing. That's what Angie already did with Whitney when she told Whitney what Lisa said about the podcast. Now you're going up to her friend and being like, I mean, can you trust her? Remember those things that you're already getting over? I don't know if you should get over that. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing right now? Well, Whitney, unaware that Lisa has been told this, goes to Lisa's room to tell her about the Miller caves. And Lisa just goes, I'm going to pass on that. Whitney's like, why? I have other things I'm going to do today. Okay, but we came on this trip together. What are you going to do? She goes, I have some ideas. Not going to tell her why you're upset yet. You're going to save that for later. You're just going to let Whitney. Lisa did this to Whitney in season 1. Whitney planned a trip and Lisa wasn't talking to her. And Lisa got to wherever the trip was. And Whitney had been texting her and she wasn't responding, but she was responding to everyone else. Like, Lisa will fuck with Whitney. But Whitney, why were you going to Meredith being like, are you sure you want to be friends with Lisa? Like, what did you expect was going to happen? Did you really think Meredith wouldn't go tell Lisa? Why? And if you really don't think Meredith and Lisa should be friends, why do you even want her to be going to this? I don't know. I don't even know. But Lisa, this is weird. She invites Maylee and Brittany to go curling. And I'm with Bronwyn. Excuse me, when they get on the Sprinter van, it's like, did you just walk out and find the first people you could find in the hallway and say, hey, we're going to go curling? And I'm thinking that's what happened. I really am. I'm thinking that's how that went. Because it's just, it was of all the people. But that's the thing about Lisa. She will not feel like she's having a bad day just because they decided to be bitches. She's going to find a way to kind of ruin Whitney's day and pretend like she's having so much fun with these other people, even though I'm sure it wasn't the best time. And then when they get to the curling thing, the instructor guy goes, oh, yeah, the Miller Caves. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal in Milwaukee. And Lisa goes, oh, is it? Duh. Oh, it is? Yes. But Bronwyn is very ready for Lisa to be in trouble, though. So she's like, yeah, I mean, not surprised. I had a conversation with her about how she's not been a good friend to me. Angie can't wait to jump on this, too. And then brings up how they had a talk after that Bezos party that didn't go well. I'm like, yeah, but again, you're not remembering that you told Whitney what Lisa said. And that's weird. It's a weird violation. You're just kind of omitting that part. And like, I feel like she's almost sticking to a script, it feels like. I don't hate any of this, though. I don't really mind that they're doing this because it's funny to watch to me. Like, it's just like, it's so obvious what they're doing. That's how I feel. And Lisa will make some mistakes. We'll get into that. Lisa will make some mistakes. But finally, Whitney figures out that Meredith told Lisa what they had said the night before. And she's like, oh, so that's why she's not coming. Yes. Brittany gets a text from Jared or whatever. Mind you, the night before, she was talking about how, like, it sounds like we're on a break. And Lisa being like, yeah, everyone's like, good, be on a break or whatever. And then this is the text. Wow, just got my head bit off. This is really fun, Britt. Call me when you can. I thought I meant a little more to you than to just go dark on me. Obviously, you're not sending me read receipts anymore, and you have terminated the friendship. Please give me a heads up so I know what to expect here. None of this feels genuine or kind. I'm a little triggered by events going on around me. But I am starting to think that Brittany really is just using Jared like as her storyline. Maybe she is. I mean, I think she is this like obsessive and toxically attached to him, but I don't know her really well enough to be this invested and this aware of her relationship. And so, okay, like I don't know enough of I don't know. And we're going to get more of it next week. And I'm like, so did she really come on this show to like just make him her storyline? I know he said that, which was so annoying, but now I'm like, the way she's using it, I don't know. I do think she's just a mess for sure, but I'm like, I don't know you well enough to care this much about this guy. I know he's Jared Osmond, but that doesn't have a lot of weight for me personally. And he seems like a douche. Anyway, they do the beer cave things, whatever. And then some of the group splits off for ghost stories. And then Mary tells the insane story about Jeffrey Dahmer and her father having a connection where she tells this whole story about how he smelled something weird and then he sees him getting arrested. But then she goes into her interview or confessional and says that he lied a lot. So I'm not sure if that was true. And I'm like, oh, well, it did sound a little unbelievable. So was it real or not? But apparently her dad was smelling something weird and it was that body. Okay. Heather, though, is Whitney and Heather stay back while they do the ghost stories. And Heather tells Whitney what Meredith said about Prism and how they're white labeling jewelry from China. I just wanted Whitney to address the fact that whoever this account was posted a picture that seemed to be a screenshot from the Prism website of the same exact picture being used on the Alibaba website. Now, could that account have doctored it up to look like that? I guess. But Whitney doesn't ever address that. Instead, she's like, there's nothing shady about it. And then in her confessional, she's like, we buy from curated vendors. That's called commerce. Well, so, okay, about Whitney's businesses, though. You may have seen some things on Reddit or TikTok by now. So Solpeople is Whitney's new company. She had Wild Rose and then she's rebranded to Solpeople. But Solpeople isn't just whatever Wild Rose was, which was like skin products. Solpeople is also like meditation courses and stuff. And it's basically been discovered to be an MLM. And MLMs are not illegal, but obviously they've had a ton of issues over the years. So Solpeople, one of the owners or executives or whatever of Solpeople is this guy named Rodney James, who was involved with the company called Awakened that had all kinds of MLM lawsuit issues. But the more important part is that was Justin's company. He was he's the former president of Awakened. And then before Awakened, he was the chief sales officer of Life Vantage, which had a 2018 class action lawsuit over it being a pyramid scheme. The suit did fizzle out, though, FYI, the class certification was denied, so it didn't go through. But they have this very big history of being involved in MLMs. And I'm going to share this link in the episode notes because it goes through, it's called behindmlm.com. And it goes through the products that they offer on Solpeople, which includes the Whitney Rose, Wild Rose skincare and stuff. But there's all these crazy levels, I guess, that you can get to. That's like, I'm just going to read one of them. I'm just randomly scrolling. Number 10 says, Sol 25K, recruit 3 affiliates or higher and generate 250, I think PV stands for personal volume, and 25,000 group volume maybe a month. And that is very pyramid schemey. So I'm going to share this in the episode notes so you guys can look at it because literally you can't see that. It looks like a cult. Look at Whitney starting a cult a little bit. So if you go to solpeople.com, you can scroll down and you see courses, digital courses, taught by world-class teachers. Our digital courses are here to serve as an empowering resource along your journey. Each course has a suggested product pairing to truly provide the ultimate holistic experience. our products, meet the people, join Solpeople, and you can join. And then I think that's how it all kind of kicks off. So it would just be very ironic that here Whitney is trying to come for people's businesses when she herself was kind of running a little bit of a confusing one herself. So like I said, I'll share the link so you guys can read through it. It's just a lot of numbers and a lot to share, but I am looking sideways at Whitney for sure. But Whitney said, okay, back to this scene though. Whitney says that Meredith comes from a place of gatekeeping and not from a place of abundance. Okay. And then she's so upset that this is what Whitney, she's right here because Meredith trying to say that she's concerned and that's why she's bringing this up is bullshit. And so Whitney keeps reminding us, like, if she's so upset, why would she not come to me and why would she tell other people? So then on the Sprinter van, not the first Sprinter van, because Heather was like, please don't bring this up on the Sprinter van. The second Sprinter van on the way to dinner, Whitney's like, yeah, it was a great trip till I found out y'all were talking about my business. Sorry, that was a little bit of Sheena I just added in there. That wasn't of my business. Okay, sorry. Now I'm in it. Because then here we go. Meredith goes, I told Heather about it because I was concerned. Bitch, no, you weren't. You weren't concerned. And so Whitney, why didn't you pick up the phone? Meredith, the biggest reach, because you didn't want to discuss it with me. You had every opportunity to say, I'm starting something in your industry. Do you have advice? Anything. But if you say there's nothing wrong with your business, there's nothing wrong with your business. Whitney goes, well, again, if you're concerned, why are you talking to everyone else and not me? And Meredith goes, because I wasn't that concerned. so you were just gossiping. Just admit it was just some gossip. A little bit of gossip. Fair. But Meredith always has to play. Meredith has got to be considered perfect. That's her downfall. If she does not have a sense of humor about herself. Even though it may seem like she's laughing along with us, she's not. She's kind of confused while we're laughing, but she's okay with it. Sometimes. Whitney goes, okay, this is a really important night for me. I'm a Harley Davidson girl, so let's try to be cool. And did we not know about this before, or did we already know? Did we know she was a writer? I probably tuned it out. We did, and I just, don't remember. But then they go in, and even Bronwyn is like, what the fuck? These bitches are just walking around here like we didn't just have a whole war in the Sprinter van. And it's like, yep, buckle up, girl. That's how it works. At dinner, Whitney's like, well, I have gifts for you from my jewelry line, but I don't even know if I should give them to you anymore. And so then she repeats to Meredith that if you were really concerned, you would have called me. And Meredith goes, you're making this much bigger. It was something I felt badly about. That was it. And then she turns to Lisa for backup. Lisa's like, yeah, you are making a bigger deal out of this. And Whitney goes, no, let's keep it between you and me. And Lisa still goes, let me help you out. I think you're turning it into something bigger than it was. It's like she just said to shut up, Lisa. Whitney goes, I don't need your help. No, you do, because you're making it something it's not. And then Whitney, in Lisa's voice, goes, stop steamrolling me, stop steamrolling me, stop steamrolling me. But then Lisa does Whitney's voice to her. Oh, should I talk like you? When they imitate each other's voices, it's crazy. Lisa did an imitation of Meredith one time. Meredith does an imitation of Whitney. It's wild when these people with already very distinct voices imitate other people. I'm like, you guys you're like cartoon characters at this point. Whitney goes, what you guys did is called gossip. And I think Lisa goes like, yeah, it was. But like you and Angie did the same thing about me with Meredith. And Lisa goes, I don't need you guys going to Meredith saying, do you trust her? And then Whitney goes, I feel like I'm being steamrolled by you. What? She literally just said, I don't want you guys to go talking to Meredith. Why would she not say that? Wouldn't she? Like, who wouldn't say that? Who wouldn't be like, I would prefer it if you didn't fucking go over to my friend I'm trying to mend things with and tell him like, I don't know, remember? I feel like maybe Whitney could have just been like, okay, that's fair. But instead, I feel like I'm being steamrolled by you. Well, you can't just say that just because she's sharing how she feels. Like, what? Because then Angie chimes in saying, I haven't heard from you since our lunch. And it's like, again, you're missing the very obvious point. Lisa has just found out that you guys were talking to Meredith about the friendship and how are you sure you can trust her? And you're like, no, you're just upset because I'm friends with Whitney. No. It's like, it's kind of very simple. It's like, this happened, therefore I'm upset. And this thing is like pretty legit, like I think. Yeah. But Angie's like, you don't like that I'm not just doing everything you want me to do. That's not true either. But then this is when Lisa goes, I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't give a fuck what you do. And it goes really heated. But then Angie stands up, and when she kicked her chair, I didn't 100% get it. But I also didn't hate it. But I didn't get it. I definitely didn't feel threatened. Like, it's so funny. Not one person was concerned Angie was going to do anything. When she, like, if that was Monica, if Monica had stood up and done that, they would have been like, okay, whoa. Jen, same thing. Angie, when she did it, they were like, just go pick that chair up for her right now and just put the back right here. Continue. Like, no one was concerned at all. But then this just gets weird. I don't know what Lisa means by this, but Angie's trying to say, like, I'm a good friend to you. Like, she's doing that rant. And Lisa goes, oh, yeah, why don't you call Electra? Isn't that what you do? That's what you do when you want to get out of having a conversation with me. Now, through other things that are said in this scene, I think Angie has a confessional where she's like, I have to be on the phone with her all the time. She likes to talk a lot. So sometimes I have to get off the phone. And I am like, I feel like Lisa's that friend that needs to be, well, she could talk on a 2-hour phone call just to be on the phone. And I had a friend like that for a long time. And I would have to I made up so many excuses. It became the thing. Where like, oh, I don't want to say his name, but calling again. What excuse will I have to come up with this time? Because I know people like that who like just enjoy sitting on the phone. And I'm like, I gotta go. I can't do it either. But the fact that Lisa is like, oh, Electra, like trying to accuse her of pretending, even if she is pretending and it's not really Electra, I kind of just feel like you should just never say anything about that. You should just be like, okay, whatever. She's just, I don't know. But it was weird, right? That was just odd. But then obviously Angie cries. Bronwyn next to Lisa is like, maybe we should, you should take that back. Like, no, we don't talk about the kids. No, okay. That wasn't your best move. But okay. So then Angie's crying. She needs her water. And then I'm not kidding. I had to rewind it. Mary says, it's very emotional and you do love each other. I'm so sorry. What the fuck? What's happening? It's like I don't trust it yet. I'm just confused. I'm like, why are you being nice? What is this happening? But I'm okay with it, but I'm just confused. Jesus Christ, Brittany with the fucking Jared announcement and the epiphany. And she's that friend that is constantly telling you about her epiphany. She's having her shitty relationship, yet making no changes and doing nothing different. And you're just like, don't make me listen to speeches over and over again if you're not going to do something about it. Big peeve. Life is too short to make me listen and go, I know. Yeah, totally. Life is too short for me to be doing all that. Like all that stuff only for you to just go right back to him. Don't do that. But Bronwyn ends up bringing up the Osmond factor. And she goes, are you in love with him? Yes. Are you in love with him or Osmond? Now, was that the best thing to say? What's Brittany going to say? Probably not the best move. But I did not expect Brittany to say, I think you should worry about your own marriage. In response, oh. And Bronwyn's like, I don't have anything to worry about. Oh, how did you, and what's your husband's name? Okay, well, Bronwyn reads her down. It's like, no, you did not just say worry about your own marriage and not even know my husband's name. But then she's like, Bronwyn is an open book. And I really did believe everything she was saying about the relationship. But like Brittany went in. Brittany goes, every relationship is messy. So just tell me, why did you choose your husband? And Bron was like, well, I met him in a bar and it was a thing and he was funny and whatever. And Brittany goes, you were interested in him because of his money? Bitch. Okay. And Bronwyn goes, she's like mocking her. Well, yeah, I had Google financed him before randomly meeting him at a bar. Yeah. What's the age gap? 26 years. Are you physically attracted to him? Well, that's where you fucked up. That's where you fucked up. Because then Bronwyn's like, all right. Because he has money or because there's an age difference? Because this feels like a low blow. Exactly. What are you saying? Are you calling him ugly? You know? But then Bronwyn shocks me too and says, she breaks it all down, but then says we do not have a prenup because he knows I would never take him to the cleaners. That's not what our relationship is based on. She had a job in finance prior to that, which is also cool. Because if you're watching industry like I am, I'm like, tell me fucking more. Like on the trading floor, what were you doing? I would like to get more information on that. She does share a lot in her stories, but I can like never keep caught up on those things. So she might have already talked about it. But I would love to hear about her time in finance. That sounds cool. In the 90s, right? That's when she was doing it. Woo-hoo. Fun. All right, now it's time for the drag show. And it's Whitney's like, okay, guys, let's go. And they're all like, woo, like they rally. God, I hate my nail color. Sorry, if you're not watching, you have no idea. It was so cool and like gray when I first got it done. And now it just looks like blue. Sorry, I'm like distracted. Anyhow, Bronwyn changes into a hot dog outfit, which is Moschino, I guess. I would like to play a little clip from a Miss Meredith Marks that Bronwyn shared on her Instagram. I don't understand it, but okay, I'm just going to share it. Y'all need to know.
Go. Hot diggity, dog diggity, boom, what you do to me. Oscar Mayer is hot dog diggity, dog diggity, boom, what you do to me. I wish I was an Oscar Mayer wiener. Everyone would be in love with me.
It's fascinating. Meredith has just become this creature that I'm like, what are you, Meredith? What are you? Anyway, the hot dog outfit, you know what I'm going to say. Of course, I don't think it's fashion. I don't care if it's on a damn runway. But I think that that's what's kind of interesting about Bronwyn. I think that that's cool. There aren't many people like her. And so I don't hate it. It feels genuine. It doesn't feel like she's doing this just for the show. This feels like, nope, this is her. This is what we would be documenting regardless of whether she knew cameras were there or not. So I'm not too upset with it. And I actually think it's funny. And sure, let's make fun of it. But like, it's also, I think I don't hate it. I thought I was going to really hate the fashion aspect because I sometimes feel like people come in and make being like a fashionista their whole personality. And I'm like, but I feel like that's just a part of her personality. And it feels like this is true to who she is. So I'm not too upset about it. So apparently Whitney's always been into drag. She talks about how she just from when she was a little girl, she loved drag. So this is apparently right in her wheelhouse. They do a dance off. Lisa's dancing was incredible. She keeps her arms down and it's like all hips. The arms don't move just a little bit. The arms just come up just a little. Oh, it was good. Loved it. And then that's it. That's how the episode ends. After all that insanity, they're like, dance off at a drag show. Classic. Okay, let's get into Orange County next. Let's take a little breaky poo and then let's get into that because I got so much to say. You know what's so annoying about being an adult? Having to clean up after yourself. And if you have kids or pets, I guess if you have kids, they can eventually learn to help you out. But pets, I'll tell you, my cats never help me, even when I say, you made this mess. But look, if you're going to be using cleaning products, they need to be non-toxic, all natural. But I find that it's actually quite difficult to find an entire line of products like that. But along came a new sponsor, Branch Basics. And they do something I've never seen before. They've got this big mother product, the concentrate, and this big bottle of concentrate goes in all of the other cleaning bottles, like the all-purpose or the window cleaner or the laundry or the hand soap or the bathroom. You followed the instructions on each bottle. So it'll say, for example, for the window, it says fill the bottle with water and add 1 drop of the concentrate and shake. And you can see it'll have your little marker here for where they want you to fill it up. And then you shake it up. I've been using the all-purpose cleaner and it's legit. But what's so great about this is that now I have all the cleaning supplies I need. And if I run out of anything and I don't have any more of the concentrate, I only have to replace this. Because I was getting really annoyed with having to buy a bunch of individual brands of products because that one does the windows, that one does the tile, whatever. Branch Basics is plant and mineral based, all natural, never tested on animals, biodegradable. Hello. And also, because everything is so all natural, if you have eczema, the laundry detergent with the concentrate, that's the way to go. Or if you have allergies or asthma, switch to Branch Basics. Branch Basics Premium Starter Pack replaces every cleaner in your entire house. Their all-natural concentrate is free of fragrance, hormone disruptors, harmful preservatives. You no longer have to wear a hazmat suit while you're cleaning up. For a limited time, head to branchbasics.com/shespeaks and use code SHESPEAKS for 15% off. That's 15% off your entire order at branchbasics.com/shespeaks with promo code SHESPEAKS. Choose Branch Basics because cleanliness matters. Let's start with some good news. Joel Kim Booster had obviously been chewed the fuck out by the network for his savage and very unprofessional post about how he hopes she suffers and I feel bad for John Jansen and all of that. So he has issued a public apology, and it reads, I've had a lot of time to think and process about this, and I wish I could say that I was not the guy who posted those statements on Instagram, but the fact is that I am. I let an on-set conflict cloud my judgment and access the darkest, ugliest part of myself and said things I don't stand by or even believe, and I am deeply sorry that I allowed my worst self to cloud my judgment. I know Shannon has had an extraordinarily hard year, as she has bravely shared, and as someone who has struggles of their own that have spilled over into work, I should have had more grace for her in that moment. I'm deeply sorry for the ways in which I've made Shannon's road to stability more difficult, and hope that she makes it out the other side of this stronger, healthier, and with the love that she deserves in her life. I regret making this a part of the story, as I'm deeply proud of the work myself, the ladies, and the crew put into making. As I am deeply proud of the work myself, the ladies, and the crew put into making it. I'm like, oh, so they were like, do you want us to fire you? Do you want to not be in the show? Do you want us not to have a host anymore? Because we can do that. I'm sure Shannon was a nightmare, but what Shannon is always going to be is in a crisis. That's how Shannon always is. So Jeff Lewis had come to her defense on his show to say, I knew Shannon shouldn't have gone to do this show. She was really tired. She was exhausted from X, Y, and Z. And I think Shannon got mad at him for even like talking about it on the show, because Andy asks why were you upset with Jeff? He talked about how you were upset with him on the show. And when Shannon tries to answer on what I'm talking about, Watch What Happens Live now. I'm sorry. Segued without letting you know where I was going with this. But when Shannon was on Watch What Happens Live and Andy asked about that, she's trying to answer. She's like, well, someone from the dating show that I was on put some things on Instagram. And then Andy's like, oh, yeah. And then like cuts her off and doesn't let her finish. So that really leads me to think he's like, we've already made that phone call. We've already let him know that motherfucker better apologize and fix it. And he was in the wrong. As much as I loved someone reading her down, because I do think that it is always an excuse with Shannon. I'm sorry. I know I've been riding hard for her, and I know you guys are going to get mad at me, but Shannon every single season has been in a crisis. When she was married to David, she was in a crisis. When she was with David after he cheated, crisis. When they were going through the worst of it, crisis. Divorce, crisis, couple years to crisis. I think she had one good year in there, and then John Jansen, some crises, but she was keeping things off the show, and then another crisis. So it's always Shannon's state of being that I'm used to. It's just how she is. And to me, it can be a little indulgent, even though she'll be like, I am not a victim. I am not. It's like, but everyone rallies around Shannon, the audience, and like holds her very dearly and loves her very much. And that's an amazing thing. And I'm sure the other housewives would also love to experience that level of like unconditional love. But I can see Shannon being a nightmare because she's in a crisis. And that's what Jeff Lewis was saying, basically. Like, she was tired and she wasn't her best self. And that's probably what happened. And that's what Joel Booster was talking about and whatever. But Shannon is always going to get propped up. Like, Shannon's always going to have that. So that's good. And I think Shannon is attempting to change. But I'm going to say, and I know you're going to kill me, but I'm going to say it. She was talking a little different. It was giving like a little medicated because I had just watched the episode. And so I had that context. And then I'm watching her on this and I'm like, whoa, her eyes are real droopy. And she was really slow to speak and was having a hard time like finishing thoughts. Andy wasn't helping though. Andy was kind of a dick to, who's the ice skater? What's his name? I'm sorry, but he was the bartender. And at one point, Andy like asked him a question and he answered it. And then Andy had like a snarky little response. And then when Shannon was answering some questions, like she got a viewer question asking about why she said something different on Jeff Lewis's podcast versus what she said to Heather. And when Shannon was trying to explain herself, she was having a hard time. It seemed like she was a little bit medicated. Do I blame her? No. But I was like, ooh, she did not feel as lucid as she did during the season when she was like on her fucking shit. She's been through it, but this woman is always going through it. You have to, even if you love Shannon and you're a stan for life. I am not taking back my love of Shannon. I'm not. I'm just acknowledging this is who Shannon kind of is. And after seeing her on What Happens Live, I'm just going to say it. I do think she should just quit drinking for a little bit. I think she's kind of dancing a fine line because she looked like she couldn't quite get it together. And then they got into the topic of the promissory note. And I hope you guys don't kill me, but you might. It sounds like John said, oh, I wish you could get this is what Shannon said. I wish you can get a low interest loan. And Shannon said, well, you've got money. And he gives her the money. Now, she keeps saying, everyone's saying that I got $75,000 from him for a facelift. But did you use his money and get a facelift though? Like, isn't that what happened? No judgment at all. But isn't that what happened? So why is that a lie? And then also, if he sent a promissory note a couple days later, I know I've seen some people say, oh, if it's a promissory note after the fact, then it's not a loan and too late. And I'm like, well, they were in a relationship though. She asked him for the money and then he's sending her a promissory note indicating, I would like you to pay me back. And she's, as she said, went livid about it. So she was like, how could you ask me this? I can't think about paying you back. I don't know. How can I ever pay you back for this? Or whatever she did, that he was like, okay. Never mind. I won't bring it up again. And then I think when Alexis got involved and heard whenever he said, and I gave her $75,000 and she's out here saying she's paying for everything. It was shocking though, guys. When I first watched that Jeff Lewis interview back when it first came out, I was like, wait, what? Because she really had been telling us that he was paying for everything. She really had been telling us that. So it was shocking when Jeff had to kind of like pull it out of her. Like, so you asked him for the money. Or first she said he offered you the money. And Shannon had to say, no, I asked him for the money. I'm like, oh, I just assumed he was a deadbeat and never gave you a dime. But he gave you $75,000 and you got a facelift. That does kind of not coincide with what you've been saying about him. And while I believe that she had been generous and whatever in the beginning, at no point did you mention that like that's not the case anymore. He's actually helped me out financially. Like, she's never said any of that. So it was a shock to hear that. Like, I was like, oh, I wouldn't know. But the fact that she's saying with her whole chest, I never signed a promissory note. There was no email saying I'd pay him back. Yet she admits there was a promissory note sent to her from him indicating, like, so you will pay me back, right? And then when they break up and he wants the money and she's like, out of principle, I'm not going to give him the money. I'm like, but wouldn't you have known he was going to be coming after you if he sent this? Like, wouldn't this not be as surprising? Do I think Alexis had something to do with this? Yeah. Because after seeing the fucking text message that she sent her about the Jim Bellino, it is no coincidence then that John may have probably thought, I guess I'm not getting that money back. And Alexis was like, oh, no. Alexis is clearly very litigious. It makes sense. Like, once she left Housewives, they can't sue each other, but once she left Housewives, that became like her weapon. We're going to sue you. Because I think Emily said that she's litigious. So okay. So where I'm landing is when he first asked her for the money post breakup, I feel like it shouldn't have been as big of a surprise as it was to Shannon. But like, his need to have the world know the truth and have Shannon proclaim he was generous, just be that person. Just be a generous unless Shannon's stands are just constantly going after him or something. I don't know. Like, is he just getting harassed everywhere he goes? Is that like the thing that's happening? I don't understand why he needs this huge public proclamation. If he's just keep living your life, dude. Just live your life. And we'll be able to see if what you're saying about yourself is true or not. And for Shannon now to be like, but I paid for all this other stuff in the beginning, and that's what she's having to do with her lawyers, is like highlight everything that she paid for. I kind of feel like if Shannon needed this money, she could have said, well, you know what? I spent all this money before on hotels and whatever. You could loan me some of that back. You could give me some of that back. You can reimburse me and I can just use that money. Like not acknowledging that he said, I would like to get paid back. And she said, no. And then now she's like, I was so generous. I don't know. I am a little bit confused by that. Still team Shannon, because why the hell would I be? Ew, Alexis. Ew, you liar, telling us that you had nothing to do with the Jim Bellino thing, yet you completely did. Okay. Oh, I haven't even gotten to the episode yet. I still have to talk about the Us Weekly interview that Tamra did. I'm going to say one nice thing before I say the rest of the mean stuff. I will say that Tamra gives a better interview than most of the cast. Excuse me, because she's messy. And she says shit that you're like, whoa, what? As for the rest of the cast, for the most part, they do. Like, Heather, boring. She's so careful. So fine, that's what Tamra does. Now that I've said something nice. Okay, I don't understand some of the things that she is saying here. She is shocked that Shannon is getting the victim role or being presented as the victim, even after running my house into a car and da-da-da-da. Like, she's still stuck on that. And proving to me that she really thought this was going to be Shannon's takedown season. And it almost even proves that Tamra was going off the audience and how a lot of us were like, ooh, this is gross. Like, you are not to be driving drunk. No, no, no. And I think she thought that was the wave she could ride. Like, everyone's going to want a Shannon takedown season. I'm going to be a part of that sort of a thing. But Tamra claims, and she says we'll see at the reunion, that they're leaving out parts that she reacts to. So Shannon will say something about her, and then when she responds, you're a terrible person, you don't see why she's saying that. She alleges that they're cutting those things out. I don't know. Okay, we'll see the reunion. We'll see the reunion and whatever receipt she has, and I don't know. Then in regard to the Trace Amigas thing, she said it was portrayed on the show like she just quit. And she's like, I didn't just quit. When I went to do Traders, I came back, they'd hired an attorney, an agency, a booker, they wanted an LLC, but I wasn't comfortable because I have 4 podcasts, 2 houses, a daughter that started college, a husband, my business. You know, these girls don't have much. Shannon doesn't have a husband. She doesn't have a job. And Vicky, I'm not sure if Vicky has a job either. What? Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, you have 4 podcasts. That's real. Shannon also has daughters that started college. That's true. And just because she doesn't have a husband doesn't mean that she doesn't have anything going on. She has her company. I guess she's admitted that it's a little bit not on pause, but she's felt weird promoting it because she's like, what I went through, I don't know, I felt weird. But then to say that about Shannon. But Vicky, I'm not sure if she has a job either. We all know Kodo Insurance. I'm so sorry, Tamra. I'm no Vicky's stan by any means, but like we all know that bitch has a job. And that's her entire life. So, Tamra. And then in regards to Vicky coming for her, she says, and I don't know, she's got some lame podcast she's trying to get off the ground. Between her and her co-host, I think they've got 5 failed podcasts. Okay, Christian Grace Snow, damn. She's trying to get people to listen by coming after me. I don't know if that's why, or I guess maybe that's a bit of a draw. But regardless, I wondered how Tamra felt about Christian, because Christian Grace Snow is just another content creator. And he's very funny. I've had him on this podcast. He's very, very funny. His memes, incredible. But I wondered, like, does Tamra hate him too? Because he's so all about Vicky and I just wondered, but I guess my questions were answered. Tamra also says this. She goes, Heather Dubrow would never do that to me, like come after her. We talk all the time. And yeah, we had some problems last season, but that's just because of Shannon. Girl? No. This is what Tamra does, man. It's happened so much where she has this big feud with someone and then she kind of talks about it like, I mean, that wasn't really anything. It's like, no, you like came after Heather. Like it felt like you wanted a Heather takedown. So, what? Rewriting history all the time, just rewriting the history. Tamra then denies also in this interview that John is not holding on to the tapes for blackmail and claims that Shannon made that up. And actually, that's pretty surprising considering they're in a lawsuit already. And she's, quote, heard about the email trail where Shannon says it was a loan. She's heard about it. Have you seen it? We've all heard about it. Like, okay, so have I. They told us there's an email. Have we seen this email? No. Then they get on the topic of Ryan in this interview. And once again, Tamra calls him a little bitch, which I'm a little tired of hearing. I'm sorry. I don't like Ryan all that much, but I'm like, it's just a ridiculous insult. It's like kind of sexist. It's just a dated insult. Like no one does, we don't do that anymore. I'll get to the episode and we'll talk about what she says in the episode because I have more to say on this. But the interviewer asks if she thinks that Jen is making a mistake marrying Ryan. And she says, well, I don't know. I'm starting to think they're the same person. All right. Okay. Sure. Maybe me too a little bit, actually. Not that they're the same person, but like I still stand by Ryan was real weird about that whole question with, his buddy's business and all that, like the FBI. What are we? Yeah, maybe that's about my buddy. But I'm like, this guy was your really good friend. You had to have known he was doing something shady. Whether or not he was doing something shady, I don't know. But Ryan was being a little weird about it, and so was Jen. They were like, what could she possibly be? Okay, but so. But anyway. Let's get into episode 14 now, because I just did everything but the episode recap, and I would like to talk about the episode now. Cats are freaks. And if you have a cat, you love them for that. Like my cats are little finicky weirdos, but I would die for them. And so the least I can do is use Pretty Litter. Because, okay, Pretty Litter, yes, it's fab. It's lightweight. It's non-clumping, traps odor and moisture, low dust. I hate the dust. But the part that is most important here is that Pretty Litter changes color to indicate early signs of potential illness in your cat, like urinary tract infections or kidney issues. And because cats can't talk, even though I'm pretty sure I think I know what they're thinking, they can't let me know when something's wrong. So I love having that peace of mind so that I can get a little warning sign and book a vet appointment if I have to. Also, I forgot to mention, Pretty Litter ships right to my door. I never run out. I don't have huge kitty litter bags taking up space. Pretty Litter is Amazing. You have to try it. Go to prettylitter.com/she-speaks and save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. That's prettylitter.com/she-speaks to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. prettylitter.com/she-speaks. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. Okay, first up, Heather takes Gina, Shannon, and Jen to a mammogram appointment. I need a Heather. I need someone to take me because I don't want to go. Especially it looked nice as a group. But Alexis texted Shannon back after Shannon sent her the "you're not invited" to London. This is the text that she sent. "Hi, Shannon Beador. Since you're hosting this amazing trip to Europe with our friends, surely you can scrounge up the funds to pay my future husband his $75,000 that you borrowed and owe him. Safe travels." Oh, your future husband? Ew. Your future husband. Gross. All right. You've been together for 4 months at this point. Chill out. I'm sorry if I don't care how many people are like, no, they actually have a really good relationship, John and Alexis. It's fast. It's fast and got manic energy to it. If it was anybody, we'd think that. It's just like on paper, it's like, whoa, chill out. You're moving real fast here. But anywho, I mean, didn't she offer to pay him the $75,000? Didn't she offer that? I think, am I mistaken? Didn't I see somewhere or hear somewhere that he didn't want to accept a payment plan from her? Like she was like, here, I can do a $75,000 payment plan type of thing. And he said, no, I don't want to be getting payments from Shannon. But like, where do you expect her to get $75,000 just like ready to hand over in cash? Is that a thing? Like, what are you hoping to do in this lawsuit? Here she's offering solutions and you're like, nope, I want a briefcase full of $75,000 or nothing. What? Shannon gets very heated and Heather's like, okay, we are in a hospital. Good point. They are in a hospital. All right. They all get their mammograms. Jen had a lump, which she's like, I've had it for like 5 months. They're like, what? She's like, I know, but I get it. Fortunately though, it's just something maybe from like a surgery that she had, like when she got the boob job. But Heather, unfortunately, is told everything looked fine, but she does have still very dense breasts, which make it difficult to see everything. And her current estimated risk is 39%, and the average is like 12. And so that's very scary. And as much as I understand why the other women say they didn't check with Heather and ask how hers went, Gina, I'm not Gina, Jen and Shannon were outside when Heather was in with Gina and they heard yay. And so I guess they assumed both of them were the yay. I'll give them that. But Gina didn't ask either. And the way Gina is going to handle this, like you see it starting next week. It's brewing this week, but then next week she's going to get in Heather's face. I'm like, she's not being hypocritical. In that moment I understood Heather not being like, is no one going to ask me? Or volunteering it. It's like she was there to support them. And so I understood her being like, okay, but maybe people think that I'm sorry. I'm always like scared of where the comments are going to go. So I have to like stop second guessing myself. I'm just going to assume you guys won't agree with everything. And if you don't, that's okay. But I felt like she did the right thing. Like she was there to be like mama bear. And then no one bothered to be like, how did yours go? And so then she's like, okay, guys, see y'all later. I don't know. They're all packing up, getting ready for their trip. I know this is small. And I know I shouldn't nitpick like this. But when Emily's son puts on, or one of Emily's sons puts on her like fur coat, she's like, you look like a pimp. You know what that is? I'm like, okay, no, we don't do that anymore. We don't. Pimps are violent, disgusting criminals, and we should not be. No one wants to look like a pimp. Sorry, I know I'm being so like woke right now. I know. Sorry. I annoy myself sometimes. While Tamra packs for London, Eddie is in there. You can tell this man, Tamra admits it. He was like, you better apologize to Jen and get it together. And so she said, I did, I basically did what you told. And I got there and I said, I'm so sorry. We can talk later. And he said, what did she say? And she goes, what she always does. Just like, okay, we'll talk later. Like, is that what she always does? I guess. But then Tamra keeps going. She's like, I understand that she was sticking up for her man, her little bitch. Stop. And then Eddie, do me a favor and don't get into fights with little bitches. Maybe I should give him a tampon next time. It's not a good joke anymore. We don't mock men. We're not saying to a man like, oh, I'm so sorry, you need a tampon. Because what does that mean? That he's a woman? Who cares? Like we don't do that joke anymore, Tamara. It is dated as fuck. We don't need to be, oh, let me have a tampon for you next time. Shut up. And being like, oh, you're on your period. Like, maybe. I don't know. Just like this is so like 1990. Move it on. Also moving it on. Stop giving us Gina's bad British accent. Even the producer was like, okay, let's move on. We don't need it. Cut it. Editing room floor. Put that in like the secrets revealed or some shit. Like here's some stupid sound bites of Gina doing an awful British accent. It's like painful how bad it is. On the flight, Emily brushes her teeth. And now I was confused. She wasn't rinsing with the Dr. Pepper, was she? They made it seem like she was brushing her teeth and then she took a Dr. Pepper and swished it in her mouth. But was that what she did? Why? Heather gets on the damn announcer thing, like the flight attendant announcer speaker thing. And she's like, it's Shannon's 60th birthday and she's single. I'm like, they keep doing this. The whole rest of the trip, so far from what we've seen, every man they pass are like, she's single. She's single. I'm like, stop. That is not... First of all, it's really hard to have game when you've got people doing that with you. Like if it was me and people were like, she's single. I'm like, yes, hello, hi. Like, let me go up to someone. Let me talk to someone. It just puts everyone in an uncomfortable situation. Everyone involved. The person you're doing it to, for Shannon, and then whatever man is the driver that drives them there, and they keep being like, are you single? And I'm like, okay, guys, it's almost more insulting when you do it like this. It's like, what are you doing? I was a little mortified, though, with Shannon announcing herself as the Duchess of Corona Del Mar, and these are my ladies in waiting. It was a little embarrassing. It was a little cringe, but, whatever. That's Shannon. They get to a suite where they have lunch or something. The bathroom, I believe that's the bathroom in that suite, with the small white tile from floor to ceiling. Oh, stunning. Gorgeous. Oh my God, I want my bathroom to look like that. It was fabulous. Shannon gives them all, as she calls them, English-themed gifts. And one of them was each of them got a Burberry scarf, which was $595, with gift receipts that you can exchange if you want. I didn't care for Tamra and Heather's confessionals where they were like, I mean, rather than this thing, why don't you just pay him back or put this towards your John Jansen fund? I'm like, she's offered to pay him. He won't accept it. He wants to be able to disparage her. So I don't like that. See, I am still Team Shannon. The Jeff Lewis conversation gets brought up. Tamra brings it up. They pick their rooms and they go, whatever. And Tamra's like, are you going to bring up the Jeff Lewis thing? And Heather has somehow managed to turn this into something very odd, and I'm trying to follow it. Why wouldn't Heather have assumed when Jeff brought up, what have you thought about, maybe did he hear that or something? Did he hear the accident? Have you thought about that? When she said, I haven't thought about it, Jeff, why wouldn't Heather be like, oh, did you not want to say that on Jeff Lewis? Because of you weren't ready to talk about that? I know that they were on camera when she said it to Heather before, but this isn't going to come out for a while. It's on camera, but that's going to be, they have to edit the show and it's going to be a minute before it comes out. So why wouldn't Heather assume oh, maybe she doesn't want to say that right now? Because I think Jeff was maybe being a little bit messy. Tamra's like, oh, I know what was happening. Jeff was saying what Shannon wanted wanted him to say, or what she wanted to have said but didn't want to be the one to say it, type of thing, like what I used to do. We'll get into that later, but I think that Jeff wants to say that. I think that's Jeff was the one who said it to her, and then when he brings it up on the show, I feel like it kind of threw her off, because I don't know if she wanted to say that on the show. I don't, because that is slander, you know? She can't prove it. So why didn't Heather just assume that? But instead she goes with, am I being used? What? Why? Used for what? You didn't tell anybody. I mean, unless I missed it, did she tell a bunch of people that that's what Shannon said? I don't think so. So what are we talking about here? What are we upset about? I don't get it. Dude, they go on. I would hate that boat ride. I would hate it too. I'm too, like, it just looked like they were about to fall out. Did they not have any seatbelts? Like, I was not interested in this boat ride either. I was right there with Heather. But before they even start, because it starts with like a little tour, and Shannon has like a mini meltdown over not sitting by herself. Like, she sounded like a little kid. Like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, all right, chill it out. But the during the boat ride, like the fast part, Heather keeps putting her hand up because the lady said that if you put your hand up, we'll be like, oh, we'll stop or something. That did not work. Jen and Katie have, or I'm sorry, Jen and Katie having a glam person in London. I couldn't tell if this was Katie's glam person and Jen was tacking on, but I'm sure Jen had to be, you must pay them for the service. I'm like, who flew this woman out though? That's what I want to know, because someone need to give her a plane ticket and she has to have somewhere to stay. So who did that? That was a little interesting. Okay, now at dinner though, Tamra asks about the mammograms, and this opens up Heather, and she cries and says, you guys didn't even ask. It was sad. Heather doesn't cry a lot, so I feel like when she does cry, I'm like, oh, makes you feel sad for her. Excuse me. But then Gina's confessional, I'm so confused by this. She goes, Heather doesn't see the hypocrisy. If this was something that bothered her, why wouldn't she call me after the mammogram? Sorry, her accent is so over the top these days. But I'm like, I guess I get that. But Heather wasn't even going to bring it up, it seemed. And it seemed like something that maybe she was just kind of processing. This isn't the same, comparing it to her saying, why didn't you tell me about Katie bringing up these paparazzi photos and whatever? Why didn't you tell me sooner? That's different than, why didn't Heather tell me how she felt? No, Gina, you were kind of an asshole. You didn't ask her. And why can't you just say you're sorry like the others? It's like she was like, oh, this is a good little, I get, Heather has picked on her. She has. And like when she texted her that she was disappointed in her for walking out and leaving with Emily when they were fighting, like that was like, okay, now you're just picking on her. Like she's allowed to leave with her friend, and especially when they're fighting. That was stupid. So I get it, but this is like, I don't understand. Just say you're sorry. You should have checked. But she didn't have to tell you her feelings on that. She could have just kind of put it wherever. But am I missing it though? Is it obvious that she is being a hypocrite? Maybe she is, and I'm just missing it. I don't want to be like, I don't think I'm like a Heather apologist, because I just also criticize the way she's handling the Shannon thing. But this one, just the thing with Gina feels like I don't really get it. Why are you going to be mad at her? Like you're an asshole for not asking her. And that's okay. You can be like, you were scared. You were caught up in it. Heather was bringing you there because she had been to these before. You didn't even think to ask because you just assumed. And that was your bad. Right? Anywho. But this brings up Katie's quest to find her birth mom. She's like, knowing, Heather, that you have this genetic history, that's one thing about being adopted that's tough. And I'm actually going to go to Korea with my family to meet my birth mother. And hearing about this was really sweet. And I do really want Katie back next year. I do. And I'm going to say this now. I have a feeling Katie and Heather would end up friends. I really do think so. I think that once Heather lets go of whatever, I mean, I get it. I get why Heather doesn't like Katie. I do. And Heather's not normally as shady as she was in her confessional when she was like, I'm asking questions because it's interesting. And then she's like, too bad she's not. Fuck. She doesn't do that a lot. But I do think they could be friends. I really do. I think that once Heather gets over it and maybe I don't believe what Katie says about Gina being like the reason why she brought all that shit up on the show. I think that Katie I don't know. Well, we have the reunion. We have bigger fish to fry right now. All right. I didn't like how Emily was like, oh, look at these two talking. Let them talk. Being like, oh, and then Heather going, what? And she's like, I'm just saying this is the most you two have talked. I'm encouraging it. You don't need to encourage it. Let them talk. Anyway, sorry. But then Tamra fucking goes, what's going on with your lawsuit? What? And Heather's like, oh, why are we talking about that? I was just wondering. And Emily goes, no, she likes to talk. Don't you like to talk about it, don't you? And Shannon always asks herself a question. I've pointed this out before. Do I like to talk about it? No. She always asks herself a question before she answers it. You'll once you see it, you can't unsee it. But then Tamra goes, but you were just on the Jeff Lewis show and you talked about it for an hour. Why the fuck would she not talk about it? That I don't understand. Why would she not want to talk about it? You have said yourself on this very television show that this is fucked up. And when Shannon told you that she was getting sued, you felt bad and gave her a hug and had that at that Mexican restaurant, had a whole thing. But then now that's done? I don't get it. I really don't fucking get it. So Shannon's Barbie hands were really on point. She goes, I have absolutely nothing to say. What is getting put out there about me is wrong. But then she goes, people are saying that I borrowed $75,000 for a facelift and I didn't. Okay, but like you did borrow money though, right? And then you got a facelift. And then that's not that inaccurate. Like you got money and then with whoever's money it was, then the facelift was had. What was the money for then? Like if it wasn't for the facelift, like bitch, you should have, because the facelift looks great. But like I don't know why that's incorrect. It doesn't seem like that's wrong. But then she says so specifically, there was no promissory note. Nothing discussed prior. And after, never asked me for the money. She says, and after, never asked me for the money. Then a day or two later, he sends me a promissory note. I was freaking livid because you don't know how many times. And then Heather cuts in and goes, wait a minute, he sent you a promise. So I was shocked by that too. I'm like, so you did get a promissory note. I would have believed that it was a loan. I mean, a gift. I would have believed that. I would have totally believed Shannon saying like, no, it was a gift. And why would I not? But, so he did and never asked me for the money. However, he did ask me to sign a promissory note. So, unfortunately, though, Tamra's confessional is just nasty. She goes, you know what? I see John's point. I would have sued your ass too. So, well, now you've activated many people. Kelly Dodd's out here trying to get Gretchen to go in on a lawsuit against you. Like, okay, Tamra, when will you learn? I would have sued your ass too. Oh my God. So Shannon continues to try and explain it. There was some promissory note, and I'm in a lawsuit right now. Sorry. Tamra goes, I know. And then you went on a podcast, talked about it for an hour. I was shocked. And Shannon says, I spoke to my attorney and he said, they keep firing away at you. You can tell the truth. And Tamra goes, there's something you said that was a lie. And then this gets on and Heather has to be like, okay, it wasn't a lie, but you came to my room in Sonoma with a very disturbing picture of you. And Shannon goes, the fact that you're bringing this up right now, you know what? And Emily's like, let her finish. You came to me. By the way, Heather, you didn't actually need to say the part about the picture. You didn't need to say that part. You could have simply said, you came to me and told me that you wondered if John, she actually doesn't say this. What she said, she's very vague. She says, you said that, things about John and what happened after the accident. Then on Jeff Lewis, you said, I've never even thought about that. Shannon's in full tears, shaky voice. I will never know if he heard the accident or not. That is slander. But then Heather is like, you said I never thought about that. It made me feel used. So what? And then this is where Tamra chimes in her confessional saying she used to ask me to say things on camera all the time. And then she'd be like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Now, I am not familiar with filming. Maybe this is something that is a filming thing. Maybe after years of doing these shows, you get like wary of people being manipulative on camera. Maybe. But again, even as Heather is saying the words out loud, how do you not assume she didn't want to talk about it on the radio? Because that was going to come out like that day or the next day or whatever, or was it live or whatever it was. Like, I don't understand why it's like, oh, I'm being manipulated by Shannon. But am I missing something? It feels like it could have been such an easy, like, oh, she probably didn't want to talk about it. Right? Because, this show isn't coming out for like a year after they film. It takes forever for the show to. I'm like, used? What are we talking about here? Because I don't understand. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand this. I'm like, you guys, her life is hard enough. Why are we doing this to her? What are we doing? Ooh, a big cloud just rolled in. Ooh, are we going to get a cozy fallish day? Yeah, right. I would love it. So what the fuck? I don't get it. And Tamra, I guess I've given up on Tamra. I'm like, of course she's going to take any opportunity she can get to like go for Shannon and be like, oh yeah. And did you see Leslie Bellino has since responded? She posted a clip of when Tamra was saying something about how the woman that David is with now, they were probably seeing each other while you guys were still married. Leslie's like, was this another one of those lies she made you tell? How dare you? I didn't have a platform to defend myself, and this is slander, and I never said that, or whatever. I don't know. I can't. I don't know. It's just weird when. Is Tamra just straight up lying now? Like, is she just lying and pretending that Shannon once told her, like, go say this on camera? Or did she? Like, that's a pretty egregious lie, but would Tamra just lie like that and be like, I know Shannon used that to me when she didn't? It's also to me not that weird. Maybe I'm manipulative, but like, to me, it isn't that weird if I'm having a conversation with a friend and they say something like, well, I saw that she had been liking pictures of his since whenever, but when you guys were still married. I could see myself being like, okay, can you bring this up on camera? Because I can't. I could see myself doing that. Is that bad? Is that manipulative of me that I would do that? Like, is it a lie? I don't know if that's what I feel like Tamra's now trying to backtrack things that she maybe said and maybe is like trying to say that was I don't know. To me, that doesn't seem that weird. If I'm having a conversation and we're talking about this shit and I'm like, okay, I can't bring this up, but I don't know. That doesn't seem that weird to me, but maybe I'm an asshole. Okay, back to the table though. Gina's like, this is real stuff, this is like heavy, this is heavy. Oh God, her voice is killing me. And Shannon goes, no, this is a reality show seeping into my real life. And no, that wasn't the thing to say because now all of them get to go. This is my real life. This is my real life. I don't know about you. This is my real life. I'm like, oh, that wasn't the move. The food arrives, and let me tell you, that miso chicken looked incredible. Oh, that looked good. However, Shannon, though, is crying, saying, I needed a friend, and I chose you to talk to, Heather. And then Tamra goes, you're not the fucking victim, Shannon. Oh, my God, you see, this is her birthday trip. Oh, my God. So then Shannon's like, you know what? I'm a fucking asshole. And then she starts to leave and they're like, Shannon, no. She goes, no, stop it. Stop it with her hands. Stop it. I'm going home. Then she walks to the elevator. And while she's waiting at the elevator, Tamra goes, she was caught in a lie. And then Gina's like, but why does the lie even matter now? And Shannon, from the elevator, And it unfortunately was funny with the bars and the thing. She goes, "Oh, keep talking about me. And you know what, Tamra? Don't you ever call me a victim again. I already told you that. I am working on myself. Victims sit back and feel sorry for themselves. I am moving forward in my life." I feel like Shannon has given that speech so many times. Then Tamra's an asshole and laughs at her. And Emily tries to be like, "Oh, no, it's because you look like you're behind bar." It was funny. It was funny. But Tamra, don't be so fucking mean. Like, why do you want this woman to suffer so bad? Gina then goes out to Shannon. Shannon, unfortunately, has already ordered a drink. She's already ordered a Belvedere and Diet Coke. I'm like, all right. Then she reads that text from Alexis, and Gina is all of us, just like, this is literally proof that she's been lying this whole time. Like, this is literally proof that she was involved in it. And she's been like, I have nothing to do with it. It was so good. It was such an amazing text reveal. But I go back to, why has Tamra maintained that Alexis wasn't involved in the lawsuit when she knows about this text? Because Tamra, when the season started and that scene happened with Alexis and Shannon, Tamra was like on her social media saying that we know Alexis wasn't involved in the lawsuit. We both know that. And she's just saying that or whatever. I'm like, but when you hear her say, I had nothing to do with it, and then you know that there is a text message that says, we are suing you, that changes it, doesn't it? So that's weird. I would like her to answer to that. Hopefully next week we get an answer to why. I need to know what Tamra has to say about this text, and hopefully at the reunion, because like, why have you been like tripling down that Shannon is just trying to slander Alexis when by now, by that point, it's odd. It is very, very odd to me. I have to say though, guys, as confusing as some of the moves are from different people in the cast, and as much as I'm criticizing and stuff, I think that they're all really doing a good job. Gina's being ridiculous with this new Heather thing. It's ridiculous, and it does maybe feel a little bit for the show, but whatever, it's good. It's ridiculous. And Shannon getting up, leaving, having this text message, obviously, brilliant. Heather being ridiculous is also kind of like, it's like you're being ridiculous. Like you weren't used. At least that's not from my perspective. Again, maybe I am missing it. And like, there's a filming aspect of this that I'm not getting because I don't do the show and I don't know. But it's still good because it's like a conversation, it's like a talking point. This is why, excuse me, RHONY isn't interesting, because it's like no one's doing anything except for the few people that are. But that's where I was like, I'm not going to be promising I'll cover RHONY, because I remember last year and just a little. And now Cy and Jessel have started this new thing where they go and do like a troll comment episode, or they post it on social media where they read the latest troll comments that they get. And I think that there's humor to that, like reading mean tweets, like celebrities read mean tweets. But that can only happen, that can only go so far. And it's like everyone gets, I don't know. I hate to say that the reboot isn't working, because I was all for a reboot, but I think it's harder to find reality stars who are willing to just like let it all out there and be disgusting, because everyone's so aware of how many eyes are on this show. And they're so careful, it seems. And I wonder if that's going to be a problem, like with the Jersey reboot. Like, is that going to be an issue? Because people are aware of how, and they got a bunch of influencers on RHONY, who I don't think influencers make great reality stars, because they're so aware of what the fan feedback and the audience is going to be. Like, influencers are kind of like the audience, if you will. So when they go on a show, it's like, oh, I know what everyone's thinking, what everyone's going to do. So it just makes them very careful. But anyway, I have talked my face off here, haven't I? So let me wrap this up so I can get this edited and out to you guys. Love you so much. Tune into the wrap up on Sunday at 10 a.m. PT if you can. It's so fun having people in the chat. And Kendrick will be back. You will get both of us. And that's it. Okay. Love you guys so much. Mean it. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to She's Speaking with Emily Hanks. This show is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Emily, and brought to you in partnership with Cloud 10 Media. If you are looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. To show some support, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Another free way to support the pod, please rate and/or review on whatever platform you listen. It's free, and it helps the algorithm or something. You could also head to buymeacoffee.com/shespeaks and buy me a coffee or two. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. I am She's Speaking with Emily Hanks across all platforms: Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys. See you soon.